Cam and little Zoe greet everyone with a bright, "Good morning." Before them stretches a vast persimmon orchard, glowing red under the sunlight, heavy with ripe fruit yet untouched. Cam feels as if she's standing before a hidden treasure. Each persimmon gleams like a tiny gem waiting to be discovered. She steps closer, gently holding one in her hand, her voice full of excitement. This is the pointed-tail persimmon, a specialty you can only find in this region. The fruit is small with a slender tip. When it ripens, it turns a beautiful reddish orange. Just one bite gives you that crisp sweetness and a delicate fragrance that lingers on your tongue. Little Joy giggles with delight, and Cam laughs, her eyes sparkling in the warm morning light. A new day begins full of life and joy. If you love simple, peaceful moments and want to explore the beauty of Vietnam with us, she smiles. Remember to hit like, share this video, and subscribe to Cam and baby Zwei, because there are still so many wonderful things waiting ahead. Noon. The late summer sun pours over the backyard garden, where bright red persimmons glow like the blushing cheeks of a young girl. Carefully, Cam picks each one and places it in her basket. Sweat beads on her forehead, but her eyes shine with quiet satisfaction. The harvest is good this year. "Thank you. Let me give you 100,000 for the persimmons," she says, handing money to her elderly neighbor with a warm smile. The woman takes the basket and chuckles. Little Zoe is such a good girl. She even knows how to wave bye-bye. Now laughter drifts through the calm, midday air. Cam takes her daughter's hand and walks away the basket of persimmons, swaying gently by her side. The breeze carries the sweet scent of ripe fruit. It's an ordinary afternoon, simple, peaceful, almost too quiet. But as the two disappear around the bend, a man steps out from the corner of the orchard. Half his face is caught in the sunlight, the other half shadowed. His eyes dart around as if waiting for someone. He pulls out his phone and dials quickly. "Hey, bro. How's business these days?" he says in a low, urgent voice. A brief pause. His eyes narrow. He watched in the direction the mother and child had just gone. "Yeah, I saw her. That's her. And she's got the kid with her." His breathing grew heavier, his voice dropping to a whisper. "Stay on the line. I'm following them." From a distance, the sound of a motorbike engine broke the stillness. An old wave sputtered to life, its engine revving quietly. The man pulled on his helmet and sped off, the tires grinding against the dry dirt road. Up ahead, Cam was still cheerfully talking to her daughter. "Be good, Zoe. When we get home, Mommy will make you some sweet persimmon pudding, okay?" The little girl giggled, clapping her tiny hands in the air. She had no idea that behind them, a shadow was following, tracking every turn, every innocent laugh that echoed down the narrow village path. The sky slowly turned gray. The first gusts of seasonal wind swept through, carrying the sweet scent of ripe persimmons and something darker, a faint trace of danger drawing near. The phone in the man's jacket pocket buzzed again. He answered. "Get ready. The target's in sight." A raspy voice on the other end chuckled. "Good. This time, late afternoon." Thick, dark clouds rolled in heavy like smoke. The once peaceful village road now lay deserted, eerily silent. Thunder rumbled in the distance as the first raindrops splattered on the dusty ground, leaving murky streaks in their wake. The man pulled over at a bend and parked his bike on a patch of bare earth. His dark jacket was coated with dirt. His face looked drawn, unshaven eyes, dull and hollow, like someone who hadn't slept in days. He stood there motionless, staring into the empty road ahead, where only the sound of wind and the deepening rain remained. Another figure emerged from behind the bamboo grove, moving slowly, his shoulders trembling slightly with each gust of wind. The two men looked at each other without a word. A small nod, that was all it took. A silent signal of shared intent. They took shelter under the rusted tin roof of an abandoned house. The rain started to fall harder, its steady roar filling the air. Steam rose from the hot ground, mixing with the damp smell of soil and rusted metal, thick, metallic, and cold. In a flash of pale lightning, their faces came into view, the faces of men pushed to their limits. One was thin skin, darkened by sun and fatigue, lips cracked and dry. The other's eyes were hollow, meeting his with an empty, unspoken understanding. There was no need for words. Hunger, debt, and despair said everything for them. The rain grew heavier. Thunder rolled again and again, drowning out all else. The older man bowed his head, his hands clenched so tight that his nails dug into his palms, drawing blood. In his mind, images crashed over one another. His mother lying in a hospital bed, his child crying for food, stacks of unpaid bills, all blending into the relentless rhythm of the rain. The younger one took a final drag from his cigarette. Smoke curled upward, faded into the cold air, and disappeared. In his eyes, there was nothing left but numbness, that dead calm that comes when fear is long gone. They stood there in the storm, two silhouettes merging with the darkness that slowly swallowed the world around them. A bolt of lightning split the sky. Both men looked up at once. Their eyes met a long, heavy stare filled with resignation and silent agreement. No words, no promises. The decision had already been made. The lighter flicked once and the young man's hand sparked briefly, then went out in the rain. He flicked his half-burned cigarette to the ground, crushed it under his boot, and stared down the empty road ahead. The older man stepped closer, his shoulders trembling. It wasn't clear if from the cold or from fear. They stood side by side, gazing in the same direction. Far off at the end of the road lay the path Cam and her little girl had walked that morning. That image still lingered in his mind. A young mother, a child's bright laughter, a basket full of glowing red persimmons. It felt like the last bit of light left in his life, but that light now only made the darkness sharper. They started walking. No words, no plan, just heavy, synchronized steps blending with the rhythm of the rain pounding down. Water splashed under their boots, leaving faint tracks that quickly vanished into the muddy road. Each step was a mark of descent. Each breath a silent vow. Night fell completely. The houses along the road were shut tight. A few yellow lights flickered through the rain, weak trembling glows in the smoky darkness. Somewhere, a dog howled, then went quiet. Through the downpour, the two figures kept walking, slowly fading into the night. The rain kept falling as if trying to wash away their tracks, but it couldn't erase what was already set in their minds. They didn't look at each other. They didn't turn back. Because behind them was the life of decency they'd left behind. And ahead, the pit of crime wide open, waiting to swallow two men willing to trade everything for one last chance to live, or to be destroyed. Late afternoon, The sun sank behind the bamboo grove, leaving torn streaks of gold over the red dirt road that led into a vast grapefruit orchard. The air was heavy, still eerily quiet. Only the tired, uneven hum of cicadas broke the silence, as if warning of another storm on its way. Two men crouched under a tree next to an old dust-covered motorbike. They bent over a crumpled piece of paper covered in scribbled numbers, grapefruit orchard deal. It sounded legitimate, but their eyes said otherwise. The quick glances, the twitch of a hand, the wordless tension, everything reeked of calculation. A gust of wind passed, carrying faint footsteps from afar. Across the road, a woman was walking slowly, a beige handbag slung over her shoulder, heavy with something inside. She looked neat, her shoes clean and polished, her expression calm. For a moment, the world seemed to freeze. Their eyes met the gaze of predators, locking onto prey. Instinct took over. No words, no more discussion, just a single nod. The motorbike was pushed deep into the bushes, swallowed by shadow. Then two figures broke from cover fast, as lightning, silent but vicious. The next moment, the air shattered. A scream tore through the quiet countryside, sharp, desperate, and full of terror. The sounds collided, a struggle, a bag hitting the dirt, shoes scraping against the ground. A small figure fell, her weak hands clutching at the strap of her bag, only to splash mud everywhere as she hit the ground. Panic spread in seconds. A final cry for help, hoarse, broken, sliced through the air. Then silence. Only the sound of heavy breathing remained, followed by the roar of a motorbike speeding away, leaving behind a body curled on the wet ground, eyes frozen wide in pure fear. Moments later, not far down the road, too calm, a young single mother was walking with her child. Through the wind and the drizzle, she caught a faint, trembling sound, a cry for help. She froze, then ran toward it. The sight stopped her cold. A woman sat on the ground, her legs swollen and bleeding through torn fabric, her face pale as paper. She was shaking, crying, her eyes pleading for help. Toucam dropped to her knees, lifted the woman, gently leaning her against a tree. Her own hands trembled as she fumbled for her phone. Rain suddenly poured down, mixed with distant thunder. Toucam's hair clung to her face, her hands covered in mud, but she kept wiping the blood from the woman's cheek, whispering shaky words of comfort. Meanwhile, less than a mile away, the two attackers had stopped under an old grapefruit tree. Their breathing was ragged, hearts still racing. The stolen bag hit the ground and burst open. Inside, a wallet, a phone, crumpled bills, a gold chain, a thin ring. One of them reached down, hands trembling, flipping through the cash. Their eyes lit up like starving men seeing food for the first time. Excitement twisted their faces into something unrecognizable, half joy, half madness. Their faces twisted with greed. They burst out laughing, a hollow, broken sound that faded into the pounding rain, echoing more like crying than joy. There was nothing human left in their eyes anymore, only cheap thrill and blind desperation. Back at the scene, Toucam tried to wrap the woman's wound with trembling hands. Her heart was still pounding from shock. She looked toward the muddy road where the two strangers had vanished into the storm. A mix of anger and pity welled up in her chest, choking her words. She pulled out her phone and dialed the police. Raindrops splattered against the screen, breaking into tiny ripples of light. She lifted her head, her eyes steady, resolute against the gray, heavy sky. Elsewhere, the two thieves were still laughing, unaware that the mud on their hands had already betrayed them. And no matter how hard the rain fell, it would never be enough to wash their tracks away.
Đặt niên điều ấy là tôi phải là đau đớn và là hình ảnh giá xa vời một mình trên ghế nhà, tay cầm vào hai con thú, mắt nhìn tròn im lặng như thể đang đợi chờ nếu không có ai nhìn vào gian nhà ấy, nếu không có những bước chân vô tình kia ai